The Grand Theft Auto games are full of mysteries that may never fully be answered. And many of these mysteries just so happen to take the form of the colorful characters populating the storied franchise. These are the GTA characters we desperately want to know more about.
I'm a man of peace, but some squares across that ridge are not respecting my peace.
The truth is the only known alias of a character who enlists Carl Johnson's help in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Voiced by the incomparable Peter Fonda, the truth is a conspiracy theorist who operates out of a van he's nicknamed the Mothership, which gives you an idea right off the bat what kind of personality we're dealing with here. As such, many of the missions he sends the players on involve delving into government secrets and outright stealing state secrets. These quests culminate in a heist in which CJ has to hijack a jetpack from a government facility and use it to steal a mysterious green substance from a military train. There are so many questions left regarding the truth after he drives off into the sunset. How does he know so much about the inner workings of the United States government? And why does he want the so-called green goo so badly? In one scene, he ominously tells CJ that the goo is extremely important to him. But what exactly does that mean? Did the truth used to be part of a cover-up? Did he just happen to stumble upon these government test sites and accidentally learn too much? Or is it possible that he's a disguised extraterrestrial just trying to make his way back home? Brad Snider appears only briefly in the story campaign for Grand Theft Auto 5, but he's hugely important to the game's overall plot and the relationship between two of the protagonists, Michael and Trevor. During the game's prologue, Brad is depicted as a close friend and criminal associate of Michael and Trevor, who dies during a shootout with the authorities. Years pass before Trevor learns that Brad is dead and Michael is in witness protection, both of which are revelations that break Trevor's heart and strains his relationship with Michael. It's interesting to note, however, that Michael expresses a distaste for Brad that seems to be at odds with the fondness shown by Trevor. Players never really get to learn what it was about Brad that Trevor liked so much, nor why both Michael and Master Heist Planner Lester Crest seem to have really hated the man. The game itself also seems really uninterested in really exploring what was so great, terrible about Brad Snider. Even after Trevor and Michael make amends, Brad remains a bit of an enigma. In the end, he's more of a plot device than a character, his death mainly serving to kick off the story in dramatic fashion. Nobody in Grand Theft Auto is outright boring though, and fans of GTA 5 still wonder if there was more to Brad than met the eye.
Readings are... Shoot.
Omega feels like he should be cut from the same cloth as the truth. Another hippie conspiracy theorist who lives on the outskirts of town, Omega sends Grand Theft Auto players on a mission to track down 50 spaceship parts that are scattered about the map. It's a tedious job, and once players bring him all the parts he needs, Omega assembles what might be the tiniest flying saucer of all time. Seriously, it's the size of a soapbox derby car, and it's hilarious to think of Omega trying to zip around the solar system in that bad boy. Odd hobbies aside, Omega seems to be able to access and comprehend technology that should baffle most civilians. The first time Franklin encounters Omega, the eccentric fella is using some type of scanner to track alien life forms. He doesn't seem to have quite as much insider knowledge as the Truth did. But one can't help but wonder where his technological expertise comes from. Omega seemingly disappears from the area after he's assembled his spaceship, so maybe he was something other than human. Appearing primarily in GTA 3 and Liberty City stories, Donald Love is a businessman, entrepreneur, party animal, and cannibal. During the events of Grand Theft Auto 3, Donald hires Claude to carry out a series of missions at his behest, but he never lets the hitman get too close to his inner circle. There's a lot about Donald Love that the player doesn't understand, but the most puzzling elements of his character have to do with an elderly Asian man with whom he apparently shares a connection.
Go and rescue my friend. Do whatever it takes.
After the old man is rescued by Claude at Love's orders, he can be seen practicing Tai Chi with the businessman. After the elderly man authenticates the mysterious contents of a package for Love, both he and Love disappear together. Love's name and face can be spotted in later games in the series, but players never get any concrete answers regarding the fates of Donald Love and the older man. For what it's worth, even Rockstar Games is unsure of Love's connections to the man or his current whereabouts. The developer said in 2009, "No one is quite sure what happens to Donald Love. He certainly crossed a few boundaries and was trying to find a way back to normality. Whether or not he managed this and what happened to the elderly Asian gentleman are matters we cannot speculate on." When even the developer is wary of getting too close to the truth, you know you have a truly mysterious and dangerous character on your hands. You may find yourself asking, wait, who the heck is Cole Pearson? You'd be forgiven for forgetting all about poor old Cole Pearson, because he doesn't even get any lines of dialogue before being gunned down by Tommy Vercetti. In Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Tommy is contracted by the unseen Mr. Black to kill a series of targets, the first of which is Carl. Players are never told why Carl has to die, just that he needs to be taken out before he finishes making all of his pizza deliveries for the day. That's right, Cole Pearson is a pizza delivery driver. The rest of Mr. Black's contracts seem to be a bit more in line with the types of dirty jobs Tommy typically takes, knocking off gang members, stealing and delivering merchandise, etc. That's why Cole Pearson stands out as such a peculiar target. How did a pizza delivery driver get on the bad side of Vice City's underworld? And why did he have to be stopped before he could drop off all those pizzas? Was he carrying around something other than pizza inside those slim boxes? If only Carl could tell us.